the federal government, the nanny state. That is the intention behind it, because once you are dependent on the government, it is tough to become independent again. Once you are dependent upon the government, it's tough for you to be independently minded again. Thank you so much for liking your comments and subscribing to the channel. Please share this with your friends. Smash that like button, smash the subscription bell, share this with everybody you know. We're trying to make sure people understand that they're not victims, that they are empowered for greatness, and all this stuff that's out here that's telling them otherwise is false and will not benefit them in the end. So please, I appreciate that. Share that. You know, in the Bible, it talks about if a man does not work, he should not eat. You know, Paul was a tent maker and Jesus was a carpenter. And I say that because I'm driving around town, I'm going to different places, and I see all these help wanted signs. I mean, if you go to any restaurant, the time it takes for you to get your food is prolonged because they're so short-staffed.
And across the Carolinas, seemingly not getting any better. A Charlotte staffing agency tells us it does not see an end in sight here. In fact, it says this is the worst labor shortage that it's seen in 27 years of business. WCNC Charlotte's Ashley Daly joining us live now. So Ashley, we continue to hear from businesses saying that they simply can't compete with unemployment benefits.
Yeah, Vanessa, that's what this staffing agency also reiterated to us as well. You know, finding employees has been an issue we've seen all across the board for more than a month now. But even here at this McDonald's, check this out, they're offering up to $20 an hour. More than a month after North Carolina's COVID-19 restrictions were lifted, many businesses still struggling to find employees. To help lure employees back, many have raised wages. Job at Carowinds, $15 an hour. FedEx, $16. And at this McDonald's in Belmont, up to $20 an hour. But still, the higher pay not proving to be enough.
It's no longer so much the COVID crisis. We're really encountering now a labor crisis like we never have before.
Cynthia Rosas works for Allegiance Staffing, which operates 8 employment agencies across the Charlotte region. She says demand for laborers is up, especially in areas like manufacturing and warehousing. But says despite incentives like higher wages, signing bonuses, and even daily stipends, workers simply aren't showing up.
The day of and the day after, when the stimulus checks came through, the phones would be, it was crickets in the office.
She says she's also noticed an unusual trend, saying their phones recently started ringing off the hook Friday afternoons.
It was brought to my attention from one of my team members, goes like, oh, what occurs is that people are last minute calling in because on Sunday evenings or something, they have to put in for their unemployment that they've been seeking jobs.
As of June 6, work search requirements were reinstated for those receiving unemployment, meaning in order to receive an unemployment check, a person must prove they're looking for work. She says people are applying, but once it comes time to interview,
a lot of them just don't show up.
Rosa says companies are continuing to get creative, trying anything they can to recruit new employees, but says sadly she doesn't yet see a light at the end of the tunnel.
And this is all intentional. If you look throughout the philosophies of the socialist and the communist, it's all intentional because they want people to be wards of the state. They have systematically wanted to divorce income from work. And I'll say that again. They have systematically wanted to divorce income from work. What does it mean to divorce income from work? Well, take for example, unemployment benefits. Over the last year and a half, unemployment benefits for some have brought in more money than working at a restaurant or working at a job. So this disincentivizes people to work. This motivates people to stay home and receive a check. This motivates people to not go out and look for employment. And what that does, it stifles creativity, that stifles individuality, and makes you totally dependent upon the government. And it's all planned. All this stuff that's been taking place since the pandemic has occurred, all this stuff that's forcing people to get vaccinated, forcing people to be compliant to what the government wants, the federal government wants, is all intentional to give you a mindset, a mind state that the government meets your needs. That is not your individual agency that meets your needs. It's not your relationship with God that meets your needs. No, it's your dependency upon the state, your dependency upon the federal government, the nanny state. That is the intention behind it, because once you are dependent on the government, it is tough to become independent again. Once you are dependent upon the government, it's tough for you to be independently minded again. If you look at all the writings of Karl Marx, of Saul Alinsky, of all the people that subscribe to this communist socialist ideology, the one thing that they want people to not have incentive to better themselves, to not have incentive to make their lives better. Because once you have divorced work from income, people no longer have a reason to work anymore. They are quite comfortable just receiving a check from the state. And so therefore it makes it easy for you to be controlled. You have to understand something. The point behind it is to control your life, to dictate what you can and cannot do. That's why the government is forcing people that receive Medicare or Medicaid, or that participate in the Medicare or Medicaid program, to get vaccinated, because you're dependent upon that government money. See, it comes with strings attached. See, and that's another reason why they're looking to destroy small businesses with this vaccine mandate of companies that have 100 employees or more. It's not going to affect the big box stores. It's not going to affect them. Your Costco, your Walmart, your Amazon, your big stores, your big corporations, they're not going to be affected by this. But it's the small stores. See, they're not targeting the mom and pop shops that have, 5 to 10 employees. They're targeting that sweet spot. They're targeting the small businesses that have been profitable enough to have more than 100 employees, but they're not so big to where they have thousands of employees. They're targeting them. They've been targeting them with all of these rollouts, with all of these programs, all of these regulations. They have targeted those businesses. They've targeted that segment of the middle class, because they know if they can destroy that, if they can destroy that small segment of the middle class, they can destroy small businesses, they can disincentivize people to get out and start businesses. The more people that are controlled by the government, the more power the federal government has over people's lives. The federal government wants to control every aspect of your life, every single aspect of it. They want the government to be your God. They want the government to be your God. The government wants to run every single bit of your life. Every single bit. It does not matter what it is. They want to control every single bit of your life. It starts, and the funny thing about it is, it starts when you're young. That's why you think they have all these incentives about preschool now. All these incentives about wanting to invest in preschool, wanting to invest in care, child care. The government wants to be a part of, from the womb to the tomb. They want to control every little bit of it, every bit, because they know once they get somebody connected to this system, to the Leviathan, if you will, it's hard for people to come off of it. It's like the Matrix. Once you're connected to it, it is tough to get people's eyes to be open to become disconnected to it. Because in order for them to institutionalize socialism, They have to destroy small businesses, and they have to destroy the church, because the church gives people incentive to work. The church gives people the boldness to say, no, I will not be dependent upon the government. My God supplies all my needs, not the government, not the federal government. The federal government does not supply all my needs. It gives people the incentive. It gives people the impetus to get off of dependence upon the government, because you cannot serve two masters. You cannot serve God and mammon. You cannot serve God and serve the government. They're mutually exclusive. You cannot serve both. So the government, the state knows that. It knows that. It knows that Christians, for the most part, are the ones who are industrialists, the ones who want to create industry. It knows this. It knows that they're industrious. They know that Christians, for the most part, are industrious. And they know that's how this country was founded. That's why they fight against capitalism so much. Because capitalism, and another thing, they want to take property. Private property, when the government establishes everything that they want, private property will no longer exist. Your house will no longer belong to you. You no longer have a private property. It will be property of the state. It will be property of the state. Why else do you think the CDC is looking to get into the property business? Why else do you think the CDC has this moratorium on rent? They want to destabilize everything and rebuild it in the image of socialism and communism. That's the intent behind all of these programs. That's the intent behind all of these mandates. That's the intent. They're using COVID as a cover to institute all of these socialist, Marxist policies. And we have to wake up to that, because we are not victims. We are empowered for greatness, but the government wants to make us victims. It wants to allow us to fall into that victim mentality, and then we see the government as our solution. They are creating problems, creating all these problems, the shipping issues, the transit issues. They're creating all these problems so they can come up with a solution, a socialist solution for the problem. And the solution they're going to provide is going to be worse than the problem. The solution that they're going to provide is going to be worse than the problem. Why else do you think they're not recommending any other options besides a vaccine? There's a reason for that, because they want to get you in that mindset that the government is your only recourse, that you as an individual no longer have your agency. The government is your only recourse. The government is the only way that you can find solutions to the problems that ail you. They are the solution. They are your end solution. And that's what they want to do. And that's what they're targeting with all of these programs, all of these social programs, welfare, all of these social programs. The goal is to make you dependent upon the government, so the government can dictate where you live, how you live. That's the plan behind it. But we are not victims. We are empowered for greatness. We will not bow down to socialism, communism, and Marxism. We will not bow down to that spirit of the world that's looking to control every aspect of our lives. We are not victims. We are not victims. We must incentivize individuals to get out and work. It is destroying our economy. They are flooding our economy with this fiat money. It is not sustainable. Inflation is going to take place, people. Inflation is going to take place. It's been held down by the Federal Reserve. Inflation is going to take place. Why do you think there are shortages in grocery stores? Why do you think gas prices are going up? I'm telling you, it's all intentional to destroy this economy. They want to destroy this economy and then come up with a solution that is all based on socialism. But we are not victims. We are empowered for greatness. We need to stand up and fight back against this. They want to destroy and destabilize this economy so they can come in with a solution that's built on socialism.